to the think tank and all those who are coming in. So we'll let you all come in. I believe that Larry is going to play us a tune on his guitar just as everyone joins us here. We didn't set him up for that, so sorry about that, Larry. But can you sing us a song maybe while everyone's coming in to give them a chance? Or
sorry, my thing is muted and I can't get it unmuted.
I think that was a no, Ronan. I think that was a no.
You're all very welcome, and we really appreciate the board of directors of PPA being here. They have truly been lighthouses of inspiration, wisdom, and hope for our industry. They opened up, they made decisions like opening up their whole education platform, not just to their members, but to photographers throughout the world. So they truly, truly, truly have values that I absolutely love. So we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I'll hand straight over to Mary.
Thanks, Ronan. Hi, Mike. Mike's here too. We got everybody. This is so exciting. I'm Mary-Fisk Taylor. I'm on the PPA board of directors, and I serve with this amazing group of people who, too bad you guys, there wasn't a behind the scenes thing happening, because about 5 minutes ago, we were cracking up and laughing and being completely silly. We're kind of going through withdrawals right now, all of us being in the space that we're in. So it's just so fun to see everybody and just kind of laugh and just kind of reconnect, which I think we all are looking for. And I'm so excited. I kind of had this on my wish list, and I was like, wonder if I could get these like amazing people to carve out an hour of their time. And every single one of them was like, sure, no problem. Whatever you want, Mary, anything for you. That was kind of what I heard back, I'm pretty sure. Everybody's shaking their head. No, that's actually not, you threatened us. No. So I want to get started right away. You know, we don't plan for this. As you all know, I don't plan for this. And so this is just going to be a fun thing, but we're not going to go through. Everybody introduce yourself when I call on you. And I want to start with our amazing chairwoman of the board. I want to start with Audrey Winkett. And Audrey, you know, just kind of tell us how you're doing, what's going on where you are, and talk a little bit about what PPA is doing right now. And just, I'm going to have everybody kind of comment on what you're loving that PPA is doing, but more importantly, how you're dealing with this time and what you're doing in your business and how you're planning on coming out of it. I think that's just something people need to hear right now.
So I'm in Illinois, and we are still climbing up with the COVID-19, having a lot of people still dying, 176 yesterday. And so we are still definitely stuck at home. They have opened up a few manufacturing things here. So, you know, I'm just trying to use the mindset that, you know, it's not a conspiracy. It's definitely an issue that we are all having at different levels, and we might as well make the best of it. So business-wise, I mean, I'm just working on a lot of things. I have finished a few projects that I've wanted to do for 1.5 years, and I'm using this time to do all outreach to my clients and the communities. You want some examples? Or so, for example, one of the things that I've done is I started a photo project for shelter at home for the kids to do. So I'm teaching kids how to use cell phones and take a few better pictures, and they're sending them to me, and I'm helping them improve. I've had from 3-year-olds to 18-year-olds. And then each project that I assigned, the first one was favorite things, second was what's blooming. Now it's my school day is the one they're working on right now. And then I picked their best one from each topic, and I'm printing it and sending that to them so I can start teaching them how to put them on the walls.
Oh, that's fun. I bet you're seeing some really, maybe better than even some of our image competition images.
They're not bad. They're not bad. So I did that, and I've designed a coloring book for my clients. That's the project I've always wanted to do. So
I loved that, by the way. That was phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Thank you. Yes. I wrote a story about the studio because we're out in the country and we have horses and dogs, and the next door neighbor has llama things, and you know, so I incorporated all that.
Mark perked right up and you said llama.
They're really alpacas, but I keep thinking they're llamas.
Yes.
Anyhow. And then the other thing is I reached out to my better clients and asked if they had people they knew that were on our front lines, like doctors, nurses, policemen, firemen. And so I just reached out to, you know, people that I definitely want to stay in touch with. And they told me people they knew, and I sent out gift certificates for a session and a 14-inch wall portrait.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
and this being the week of the nurse, and yes, you know, the National Nurses Week, what a great timing for all that. I know that we've been doing something very similar. Audrey, the great news is that I get to work with all these great people in a volunteer capacity, but I mean, my business is, I'm getting emotional. My business and my life in general is just better because of every one of you guys, except for maybe a couple of you that are messaging each other and I can actually see you doing it. But besides that, they're amazing. But let me move on. Audrey, thank you so much. Let's move to our president, PPA president, Gregory Daniel, good friend of all of ours, definitely been a mentor and friend to me and my business, and me is just a person trying to survive this industry. I don't know if you guys have had the pleasure of reading Gregory's presidential messages, but in the magazine every month there's a great, and I read all of Audrey's and all the other presidents, but Greg, you've had such a great theme this year. Imagine this, Greg planned, he's very intentional and very procedure oriented. This may come as a surprise to some of you people on this call, but he's very procedurally oriented. And he's got this awesome message. So do you want to talk a little bit about that inspiration and how I'm sure that you've been using that during this time, and I feel it, like it couldn't have been more perfect for where we are right now.
Yeah, which was actually kind of fortunate because, as you know, the articles, we have to write them like 4 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
because
amazing how timely they've been. You know
right,
what I mean? Like,
right. And it's been, especially this month, I thought this month was really great. Yeah, so you're talking about the mastermind. If you have not read the article yet, it was just the whole experience that I've had in my relationship with the mastermind group and how it changed my entire business model years and years ago when I was actually attending a PPA workshop. It was a week-long workshop, and at the end of the day, we would all kind of get together and kind of huddle around, and that's when a lot of the magic happens, as you know, right? When you kind of talk about your business and what's going on, and there was a lot of us that were friends as well, and so we had lots of really cool discussions at the end of that day. And we thought, we can't let this end at this point, right? We can't let this stop. And so we formed a little group, and there was 5 studios, and we started traveling around to each studio. So each year we would travel around to each studio and do a studio makeover. And that was fantastic. I mean, we would kick the owner out, and then we would go in, the group would go in and just retool the studio, taking stuff out, throwing it away, and changing display. And then so they would come in and boom, there's the big reveal. You know, this is all before the whole makeover edition kind of stuff started happening. But so you had to actually really have faith in each other to be able to open up your books and open up, you know, your story and share. And that really went well for 5 years. And then it was like, what are we going to do now? We were finished with the tour. And then we started a book review. We thought, wow, this is a really cool thing, maybe to share some books, because we were sharing books together in between. And I know, Mary, you love a good book, right?
Love a good book.
Love a good book. And so we went off to our cabin up in the mountains in North Georgia, and we had a retreat, with a book retreat where we would bring a book and then talk about the book, do a book review, each of us, and then what we applied in the book into our business and how it changed. And it morphed into then a marketing day. So we had a marketing day, a book day together. And then we had a board of directors basically meeting, which was on Sunday. And so that we would bring problems to the table. You know, so we had a day of what worked, a day of what is not working, we need some help on. But anyway, that whole mastermind group, and we have it today. We still have a group. Audrey is in the group as well, and it's called Barking Cats. And it's just been an incredible formula to reach out to each other, and our group talks to each other daily, and then we have monthly meetings, and it's been fantastic. I don't know if Audrey wants to add to a little bit as well, because that's her.
Yeah, so it's an accountability group. It's accountability of your peers, and I'm assuming that the biggest important ingredient of that, Greg, was that you found like-minded, not necessarily the same style, but like-minded businesses that charged similarly and believed in and maybe offered similar products. And what I mean by that is higher end versus maybe volume, or you have to find that right fit all over the country, right?
Yeah, our business models were similar. At the very beginning, we had a little bit of a mixture, and that really didn't work as well, right? Also, in the beginning, we had where maybe the owner would substitute maybe their lead photographer in their studio or whatever and bring and let them come, and that didn't work either. It had to be the owner, the person with the big stake in the business, to be part of it. But yeah, it kind of leveled out. We also love to do what we call a +1, and a +1 can be actually we invite someone in to the group that particular year or that particular visit, and they bring infusion, and so they get a lot from us and we get a lot from them. And then also maybe a +1 is maybe we go to an event or someplace different, and then we kind of share about the event. It just kind of gets you charged, just something to bring out so you're not just pulling inside constantly.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love the group. And Audrey, did you want to add, because you're a barking cat as well. So did you want to add in on that?
One of the things I like about it, in addition, when we do get together on our yearly visit, our spouses come with as well. And so it's a nice event, lots of wine involved, but what I like about it is, you have plenty of people that are around you, like your mom, that'll say, oh, your work is beautiful. Just like, they tell you you're beautiful your whole life, right?
Yeah.
These barking cats, if they think you're going down a wrong pathway with your business or making a mistake, there's no censor.
I like it, but that's good. We need to hear that, because you're right. Your spouse or your mom or your kids, they may not tell you the honest to goodness truth all the time, but I have a feeling, knowing this group, and I know who's in this group, I'm sure that there's a lot of truth telling from these cats, these cool cats and kittens that are showing up in this group. That's awesome. Thanks, Greg. And thank you for everything. I'm going to move along, and hopefully we're going to get to have some question and answers. We have a lot of people online, so this is exciting. Jeff Dachowski from our good friend from the north there, up in New Hampshire. How's it going, Jeff?
We're doing great. Greg Daniel just left. I needed a new septic system, and the barking cats came and dug it all by hand. It was amazing. You guys did so good. Thank you so much. Everyone, they usually focus on the inside of the studios, but they were able to dig a whole new septic system for me in 3 days. Audrey had a hard hat like Bob the Builder. It was adorable. Of course, I can't take any pictures of it because of social distancing and all, but it was really great. Thank you both for being a part of that.
The bill's in the mail.
Yeah, I can't imagine that bill. Can't imagine that group showing up to dig a septic system, but hey, good for you, Jeff. Good for you. Well, let's move back to reality. So what's actually going on in New Hampshire?
Well, we've had a pretty a good run of coronavirus in the sense of the total number of cases is low comparison. I mean, New Hampshire's a small state, about 1.2 million, so we have about 2,200 people. We had our worst death day ever yesterday, which was 19, and they were all in nursing homes. All 19 people died, and so I'm very sad for, there's hundreds of families who are affected by those deaths, and I'm sad for the folks who can't mourn, their in-laws or their parents or their aunts and uncles. So I'm mindful of all the trouble we're in, emotionally, and for all of you who know me, I know you've heard me say things like, I can feel this way at 9 o'clock and completely differently at 9:05. It's just complete shift of I'm doing the right thing for sure. And then I completely second guess everything and say, I feel differently. And so I have been on this wave of hey, everything's going to open up, and our governor is opening things up. We will start taking some sessions in a limited fashion by the end of next week. And, but we're mindful and we're hopeful that everyone can continue to be safe. I'm really cognizant I'm hearing from people who have been picking up gift certificates, through the mail, who call in, that I was hopeful that this would bring a resurgence of family quality life. And I think for a lot of my clients, it's true. They've been thinking more and more about the time they've spent with their family. And that changed, I'm sure, at day 7 of homeschooling, when they felt differently than they might feel as they get into a rhythm at day 45. And so I'm hopeful that we as a group of the Northeast, as humanity, as U.S. citizens, as photographers, will get through this. And they might be different, but as you all know, I try to keep a positive attitude. I'm looking forward to nice weather. I've been working on the outside of the studio a lot. I painted the entire interior of my home. Oh my God. So we've been overachievers. We've put up 20 gallons of paint, but we've decided we cannot let this terrible situation end without having some sort of benefit for ourselves, our family, and our business.
Yeah, I love that. I think Larry Lourcey posted something not too long ago, and it says, if all your closets aren't organized and clean right now, face it, you're just lazy. And so I was looking at the last closet that I needed to really get done, and I'm like, I'm just going to face it that I'm lazy because I cannot take on that closet right now. So, would you agree, Jeff, that, yeah, you're getting back to normal? I know that you have, hopefully all of us can maybe mention moving forward things that you're doing to stay in your business. I know that you do enough commercial and branding work that you were able to do some product work, interior type work, because it didn't involve other people. So you were able to legally work and have some small, not huge income, obviously, but some small income, but having that diversification, I would imagine was helpful during this time for your business.
Yeah, for me, so we kind of phased out of weddings in the last couple of years, and we still have a couple that we do every year, but we phased out our big, and I'm really cognizant and sad for our entire wedding industry, who is completely, the whole thing is upset on its end, every event's being canceled. There's so many questions about how to handle it. For me, we made a move to family portraits and commercial a couple of years ago. And so I was able to photograph. I would have people ship in some products to photograph. And was able to keep working to some degree. And I also was able to do several shoots that involved reportage, sessions that involved newsworthy things that could legally work.
That's awesome.
And so, but they were commercial jobs, but they were photographed that way. So luckily I was able to do that. And honestly, Mary, I'll say this, I've said it before, when Mary turned me on to Profit First a couple of years ago, I didn't understand what sort of impact that would have, on my business. I mean, Mary doesn't get paid for Profit First when I say that, but by doing that, by taking control of every dollar that came into my business, it gave me a massive cushion that didn't make me freak out come March 31st, like I would have 3 years earlier. So I'm grateful for all that.
Well, you are very welcome. I'm glad that it worked. I was kind of a bully about it, I know, but I'm glad that came in handy. Speaking of being able to diversify, Kira Derryberry, our great friend, my fellow podcaster here down in Tallahassee. Kira, you came up with her and I talk a lot because we do have this little podcast thing that we do. And so we're constantly talking, about things that we're going to do. And diversification became a big issue because Kira is very much family, children, and headshots. And those were pretty much off the table for a while. I know you guys are opening up right now as we speak. Things are opening for you in Florida. But she immediately dove in, and she's a mastermind about the Adobe Spark and all these other Calendly we were talking about before the call started. But you had kind of, really relaunched or really started publicizing or, putting out there, marketing your restoration stuff, which I think these are just things that we could work on in our business and bring in some income and get some excitement because we couldn't do anything else. Do you want to talk about that piece?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're pretty. You're so pretty.
You're so pretty. So yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that I wanted to add to my business or work on the side that I never had time to do because, like you said, I'm wearing all the hats. I don't have any employees or anything like that. So at first, there was the devastation that sat in of not working, and then I realized, well, now I can do that restoration thing. And so I actually had the time to go and figure out how I would streamline it, figure out how I would advertise it. I worked in Adobe Spark for a while and created some marketing pieces. I was able to take my time, which is so rare, to really think it through. And ended up adding it to my website. We've just started soft opening this week in phase 1 in Central and North Florida. South Florida is still shut down.
Right.
But we're in that reopening phase. So, today was my first day back at the studio. I did a headshot this morning and it was weird.
Yeah, I could only imagine.
So weird. But the nice thing is that now, especially with that restoration piece and some of my online booking things that I was able to set up during this time, now all that stuff is ready to go. So we don't just do restorations during the downtime. Now we do restorations all the time, and now we can advertise it. Now it's on my website. Now, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's nice that if we're going to talk about nice things that happen during this downtime, it finally gave me the time to do some things I had been meaning to do. The other thing I wanted to bring up that's a positive thing that you and I have talked about a lot is before the soft opening of Florida this week, I had several clients that were like, go ahead and put me on your calendar for May because I want to get on your books before you get overrun.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was I didn't expect that, but she was this particular client, she was a dermatologist, and she's absolutely right, because she's being overrun, as soon as she can reopen, because people want to get that Botox.
Yeah,
they want to get all
yes.
that stuff. So she was thinking about my business the same way that she's thinking about her business.
I love that.
The same way that hairstylists do.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And so I'm happy to report that this week, now that Florida is starting to reopen, I do have a lot of clients that are like, okay, hey, I need to go ahead and get on your books. And it's happening. I had one of my best clients from last year go ahead and go, okay, I need to go ahead and get on your schedule. I want to book you for 2 days for my high school senior because I want to make it really special.
Wow.
And so we're doing like a double, so I just wanted to share that because I do think of us as part of the service industry, that people need us, people want us. Just because they haven't been able to use us now doesn't mean they don't want us.
Yes.
Still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because and I think Allison, I'm going to get to Allison next, but being called non-essential for 6 weeks was depressing. And when you brought that up, that your client said that, I was like, yes, we are. And they do want us. And yeah, so that was really encouraging. And thank you, Kira. I'll move right to Allison. And Allison, I know that you and I had a long conversation about, everything yesterday, but I mean, you're in that position where you have kiddos that homeschooling, we talked about this yesterday, having to leave college, not what they wanted at all, and juggling all this, plus your business and your family, and everybody's trying to log in to the Wi-Fi and make but can you share, because I thought your post the other day about leaving when you guys went to your vacation or getaway house or whatever, place, that just kind of leaving there, just how that kind of felt and how you are working through it, and just being okay that you get up at 100%, but you're maybe at 10% by 11 or 5 or whatever.
Well, yeah, when this first started in March, we have a home about 5 hours away from where we live primarily, and it's also about 3,000 feet in elevation difference. So the temperature was huge. And to me, I have 3 kiddos at home and a husband. I was supposed to only have 2 at home, but the college kid had to come. And, it was, at the time, it was the best thing we could do. As population 247 people. And I kind of shifted into a mode of making sure that people's mental health in my family was the best it could be, making sure that, they were getting out, getting their endorphins. And that really, for about 6 weeks of my life, was pretty much as far as I could go.
Right.
I was paying attention and listening to everyone's podcasts and everyone's, great webinars and all the think tanks that were going on. But in my own life, it was kind of just paralyzing to just make sure these people were okay. And sometimes it isn't me that goes from great to 10% in a matter of 10 minutes. Like my college kid the other day came downstairs throwing a tantrum because his life as he knew it is over. And it's have to kind of be there for him. Now that we're back, kind of at home and shifting Utah, I'm in Utah. I'm even in a resort town of Utah. We're starting to open up. We can gather up to groups of 20. We're kind of in a different direction. Now that that's starting to come back, we've sort of shifted. So, I definitely, the homeschooling thing, all of that is sort of kind of on autopilot. Kids are taking care of themselves. Yesterday, we had to go worry about getting a driver's license in the middle of this. There's one place in the whole state of Utah offering, driving road tests.
Yeah.
So it's different. My life has definitely been different. And it's only in the last week that I was inspired by something I heard Audrey say and both Greg say about getting out and really offering to your community, some way of being engaging. So I'm getting ready to launch probably an 8 to 10 week online camera class because I get a lot of requests and have taught it in the past. And so that's kind of my focus right now, is to be sensitive. Is it'll be remote, but it'll be a great way to learn for my community of like 30,000 people.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Is that something maybe even something that you can offer? Look at me, I'm putting on my marketing. But I mean, for kids that are, not finished, didn't get to finish school or didn't get to finish a curriculum, what a great thing for them to be able to log in and learn an amazing skill and learn it from a true professional, a master photographer. So thanks, Allison. Speaking of which, let's move to Mike Hanline. Mike Hanline is our good friend on the board, but he's also the founder, owner of White House Custom Color with his family, with his two boys. Mike, let's talk a little bit about the state of this industry right now and how it feels from that perspective. You understand both because you talk to all of us photographers and everything, but how are you guys feeling on the vendor end and where you think things are going to go for this year? And only say nice things. I'm just kidding. Tell us the truth.
Well, I tell you what, if you guys can tell us the answer to that question,
yeah, okay.
That'd be really, really a good thing. I mean, Kira, I loved what you said. Like, let's get on the damn schedule because it's going to fill up. So, I mean, you look at who we are, and we're a company that depends upon you guys,
right,
to send us work. And if you know me, I'm a guy that deals with data and metrics, and I can tell you the picture has not been free. And when you start looking at incoming work down as much as 80%, and then you see it claw its way back to 35%, you feel pretty damn good.
You can't fall off the floor.
No, let's get it back up to 100%, guys. And I think that's where everybody wants it to go as quickly as it can go. When's it going to end?
Who knows?
The new normal, I'm going to tell you, we're going to get a lot of work out of the state of Nebraska and Iowa and Missouri and Kansas before we do from New York City.
Well, sure.
And those things come into play in it. We have really about 7 different businesses in our business. And so you got the album business,
right,
and look at what happened with the wedding industry through this thing, and then you start looking at the portrait side of it. And so some of it's just my opinion, and I think everybody at White House shares this, if you're not in the actual school photography business, most of your business has just been moved forward.
Exactly.
That you guys have the capacity to do a certain amount of work. You've got a 60 to 90-day void here, and with some creative scheduling or the right demand, you may make up a lot of that by the end of the year. Now,
right,
that being said, that's easy for me to say, folks, because I'm not out there trying to fill an October, November, December schedule up to shoot
right,
people. I'm trying to figure out how to get the work produced and back to you.
yes.
One of the big things that happened with us, we were completely shut down for 18 days and didn't sell a dollar, and then we got partially open, and we operated for almost 2 weeks partially open.
Yeah.
And we were allowed to do that in the state of Minnesota. We kind of read between the lines on the governor's order and made our decision. And then we had the authorities show up and said, "What are you guys doing?" And we said, "Well, we're working."
Right.
we interpret his orders this way, and they came back and said, "You're good to go."
All right. There you go.
You see, all right. We did that just right.
Somebody asked a question, Mike. They said, have you guys changed the way your production floors are being run? And I know you guys have. You have very strict rules in place, right?
Yeah, I'll address that a bit here in a second. But the point that I want to make right now is we realized that every order we got during that shutdown, we got quite a bit of work. People like you guys were waiting to get those orders back because you can turn them into money.
Right.
You get a deposit, but you also get paid on delivery. And so that was a big motivating factor for us as well. When you look at the landscape within our facility, it's pretty different. And we've realigned workstations to correspond. We don't have a lot of floor graphics around, but we've got a lot of tape. And so we got these incredible, well, they're not incredible, they're just what everybody's doing. We got a process everybody has to go through to get into the building. And then we have a process everybody has to go through to live within that building during the day, which involves a mask, which involves we actually put an armband on everybody when they come through the door, because we got to know everybody got their temperature checked.
Oh, right.
And went
right.
through the health screening, and it's a different color wristband every day. You know, so there's a lot of things along those lines that are very important to do. And right from the very beginning, and we got way ahead of the curve on this back in early March, and started doing a lot of things along the way. But you're basically protecting your own environment, to protect your staff.
Yeah.
And, you know, I equated it to a castle with a moat. And you just gotta, we had to protect, you gotta control your own environment,
Sure.
which I think's a big part of the whole solution.
For all of us. All of us.
Yeah, and especially from a manufacturing standpoint. Of course, the glaring example, that's the meat packing companies.
Yeah.
And how they didn't do that.
Right.
So yeah, it's changed how we do business. We've been back up full speed almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, you guys are killing it. We're getting our stuff in, so that's
and we've done some things to try to communicate the turnaround times very proactively on our website, so people know, and one thing or another. But it's been challenging.
Yeah, and you've lived through a lot of challenges. This has not always been an easy road. Photography is not the easy road.
There's just turn the machine off for 2 weeks.
Not well.
See how, you know, just like Kira said earlier, like this was weird having somebody in here to photograph.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of like, this isn't that easy to get this going again. And not only do you have the production process, and I'll shut up here in a minute.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Not only do you have the production process, but you have all the emotions of 165 people you're bringing into the building every day. And I can assure you, those emotions are all over the park.
Yeah.
And we've had a staff member come down with it. We've had a staff member's husband come down with it. And there's protocol, you know, and people get nervous and anyhow.
It's scary.
It's all going to pass, and you guys are going to start sending us more work all the time.
Yes, we are.
All's good.
That's our plan, Mike. That's our plan.
If that's enough of an overview for you, Mary.
No, I appreciate that, because it's great to have that, you know, that overview and to get that information. And, you know, kind of moving along, you know, Mark, I'm going to go to you. And the reason what I want to talk to you about is I'm in Virginia. You're not in Virginia, but you're in West Virginia, which people often think we're the same place, but we are not.
Western Virginia is what we get.
It's West Virginia.
It's only been 165 years. Give them time.
Oh, right. Okay. But you know, you guys had a fairly low number of cases in West comparatively, but got pretty much shut down like the rest of us. Or how is it going in a place that, I'm not saying you weren't affected, because obviously you were, but you know, some places just weren't. Even if you think about Southwest Virginia here, they weren't affected as much as maybe Northern Virginia and Richmond and even Tidewater, but they kind of had the same rules implied. So how have you guys dealt with it there where you are?
It's been strange. You know, yes, our cases have been very low. I think our entire county has only had 22 reported cases. I said not even a virus wants to come to West Virginia.
It's true.
But the problem with that has been, because of that, so many people are taking it very nonchalantly.
Okay.
So when you're out in public, and I'm out every day because I do some work outside of photography now for the first time in 25 years. And so I'm seeing some places that are handling it very well and are very strict with the rules, and other places it's a chore to even go to the grocery store. Because you have people that are not following any kind of social distancing right next to, you know, someone who is. So my thought process there is that, you know, there are a lot of selfish people around, I'm afraid, and those are the ones who are kind of dragging it out for the rest who are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know, our governor, well, I don't want to talk about our governor. We'll let that slide. He's been in the news enough. We'll leave him go for right now. But yeah, there has been a slow crawl towards reopening here as well as in other places. I actually am so thrilled. I have an appointment for a haircut on Wednesday. I may tear up. It's been 2 months.
We don't know what that's like here. Yeah, we understand.
But anyway, it's also been, well, like I think Jeff said, it's been a great time to to get some other things done that you wouldn't thought of. I got my camera room and prop room painted for the first time in 25 years.
Wow.
It only needed it a little bit, but I got that done, got some trees cut down, little things like that. But what you're finding, I think what we're all finding is that there are things we didn't expect. There is business coming from areas that we didn't think about. I just had an order placed the other day, a family I shot 6 years ago who, for whatever reason, did not place an order. Now these people have nothing to do but sit at home and go, you know those pictures that we had taken a few years ago, and place the same order that they put on hold 6 years ago.
Wow.
So that comes in. I've got another client who is an international entertainer. He's my longest standing client. I've been working with him for over 30 years now. And he has seen he was just about to leave on a tour of Asia when all of this hit. And so his bookings have been canceled through, I believe, July.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on a system right now where what he does depends a lot on audience participation. So it's going to be a little bit challenging, but we're working on a system right now where he can utilize my studio and do virtual presentations and pick back up on some of these bookings that he had lost.
Yeah. Well, that's
Is
awesome.
it Gallagher,
What a great way.
Mark?
He does this.
You work with Gallagher?
Funny
it's
thing
not
is,
Gallagher.
not Gallagher, but if you remember, do you remember the name Kreskin I think he was in the 70s? His manager and Craig's manager were the same guy for a long time, but he's a mentalist, that kind of thing. But it's been fun.
Fun. Well, that is fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Well, good. I'm glad. And I'm glad you guys have not had the same effect, but I get what you're saying. And people are saying West Virginia, shout out other West Virginia people, and that they understand that these things, they're experiencing some of the same things in their areas, and that's too bad. But let's go all the way to the West Coast and talk to Pete, our good friend Pete Rezac from Reno, Nevada. You know, Pete, you travel all the time because you're super involved with the affiliates out there and doing all the cool stuff that you do. And how are you kind of adjusting? What are you doing maybe in your business and even, you know, how do you feel about the way the affiliates are running and doing? We've canceled things. We've canceled conventions and schools and different things. And I know you're super involved at that level. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I came back from Massachusetts, a week before the whole lockdown. And I saw Trish Gilmore there and some of her other friends, and Audrey was there. If you would have told me leaving there that, like we're going to be shut down, going through these airports that, who knows what it's ever going to be like again, I would have said, yeah, right, whatever. I still wonder, how that's all going to be. As far as the affiliates go, I mean, I'm really proud of the affiliates and how they have been attending their weekly call and being involved in all of that. So that's been really great to see how they're really trying to, stay current and seeing what's going on. And, especially all the things that PPA is doing with the, in it together and the resources and that. So that's been really great. As far as what I've been doing, I had an opportunity to buy some equipment like literally 3 days before we got locked down. So one was a powered roller system and all that. So we got that all installed, and then that just led into a whole bunch of other types of renovations that we've been doing. And I'm trying to focus on providing a whole new experience, for clients once we get back, up and running. And of course, we've also loved the charity work that we've always been involved with. My thing that we do to benefit Operation Smile got postponed this year, but we came up with another idea to benefit some local charities here in the Reno area. One being the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, Catholic Charities in Northern Nevada, and then the COVID-19 Relief Fund. That obviously we can't go out and photograph people. I mean, Reno's locked down. Look, you're not working. Doesn't matter what. We didn't want to put our business license at risk, but we realized that things need to be documented at this time. So we came up with this COVID Selfies for Good campaign. And it's crazy. I did a little blog post on that, but one of my former clients, or I shouldn't say former, is still a client, but is in the news media, and we got media exposure. So we actually had, an interview last week, which was kind of crazy. And that was like, oh my God, we got to get everything else all cleaned up here.
You're going to be on TV. Yeah, that's awesome.
and talk cool about, I think like most people, I still have school, or some of us here still have school-age kids. So I've photographed my kids about as much as they're ever going to probably let me photograph them again for the next 20 years. But I was able to get the lady that interviewed me. I'm like, hey, you got to sit down. Like, I haven't had a new face to photograph, so just let me take one picture, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome.
so we're able
We're
to
all
do that.
recovering photographers. It feels
Yeah,
like these
gotta
days.
have a new face. But anyway, that's kind of where we've been. We're hoping to come out of this. I'm in a little group here that Greg had mentioned about, in his presidential message. I've got some colleagues that we've started to do that. It's kind of a timely thing in how that is. But, I've revamped the website. I went out and planted grass seed the other day. My wife's like, look, I got plenty of things for you to do. So
I bet she does. I wouldn't mess with her. I would think you would.
So that's where we're at. But thanks for having us on today. And
thank you for being here.
So great with all the things that PPA is doing too.
It is. I'm going to try. Michaela, are you in a good spot? Michaela's traveling today, but she tried to log in to be with us. Michaela, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hopefully it's not too laggy.
No, it's fine. So Michaela and her husband are definitely in a space. They're homeschooling and also trying to figure things out. And like a lot of other people, which I'm going to talk to Trish and George and Larry as well. But, you are predominantly wedding. I know you do other things as well, but how are you guys kind of planning your big comeback? Being in the New York area, but upstate, more, not in the city per se. What are you guys doing and planning right now?
Yeah, so being in New York, it's definitely tough. For our studio opening, we're looking at probably mid-June earliest, which has been tough. We can still probably get out before then and do engagement shoots, but all of our weddings for June and partially through the rest of the summer have been postponed.
Right.
So we've moved a lot of business, which I'm thankful that it's been moved and not canceled. That's the good news. But it's also tough because we do a lot of print sales and album upgrades, and so all of that revenue, makes up for pretty much half of the incoming revenue for the summer. So that'll be tough. So we've just been reaching out to just touching base with couples, kind of making sure they know that we're still here. We've been, doing things like trying to get them to add on things that they maybe were not considering. So we've been offering incentives to pre-purchase parent albums, pre-buy wall art, or adding on rehearsal dinner coverage or the boomerang booth, just to kind of continue to increase those client accounts, because we won't be out shooting for the next.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So are you offering any incentives to get them to add these things on early, or are you just staying true to your pricing and everything? How are you handling that? Because I found that we're getting those questions, and I'm wondering how other people are handling it.
Yeah, so I think, these are typically incentives that we do anyways, just not usually at this time of year. So things like, if you pre-purchase a parent album, we'll gift you an extra 5 spreads, or you can add on rehearsal dinner coverage and we'll throw in a free slideshow, things like that, we've used as marketing tactics maybe a month before the wedding, or in months when we have lower revenue throughout the year. And now we're just using it as a way to continue to generate revenue now.
Yeah, you're kind of just you're recycling essentially things you would do anyway, but making them a COVID incentive, essentially. That's really smart. And I love that, and I'll move on to maybe even Trish, because you and Mariah are predominantly weddings in the Rhode Island area. And thank you, Michaela. She's traveling with her kids and her husband in the car. So I really appreciative of her logging in. But, Trish, you guys, same boat, right? Just weddings and then no weddings. What are you guys doing? I know some of the things you're doing, but let's talk a little bit about that, because you guys have an amazing wedding business, and all of you guys do beautiful weddings, by the way. But what are you guys doing there in Rhode Island? Another small state, but still impacted.
The smallest state, yes, and we're right in between, Boston and New York City, so we're kind of stuck right in between the two epicenters. But yeah, we do 100% weddings, so we don't really do any portraits. We might sort of change our mind on that this summer if people want to get out and do some portraits. But I have to say, like, the first probably 4 weeks or so, I was completely like, you know, like you were saying, the roller coaster of emotions. 1 minute I was totally fine. The next minute I couldn't stop crying. Then I didn't know what to do. I started like getting on webinars and like buying classes and doing all this stuff. And I was like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
Like, I was so lost. I didn't really know what to do. And people were obviously rescheduling. Right now, we're right through. I mean, I don't think we're going to shoot any weddings this year. Our governor.
But you don't think there'll be any for the rest of the year?
I don't think we'll shoot any because our governor has said she's actually. I don't know if she's lifted the stay-at-home order, but today she was going to decide. But what she said was that the first phase would be 50 people would be the maximum, and that would include vendors. So most of our weddings are, you know, 150, 200, 250. So it's a real change for clients to go from 250 to 50, you know, so that would be really like 35 people maybe, realistically. And then she said if everything's going perfectly, maybe at the end of August we could do 100 people.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe some people will scale back, but
smaller weddings.
Yeah, but we're in an area where, you know, Newport, Rhode Island is a destination.
Yeah.
So pretty much everybody is coming from out of town. And everybody wants this big sort of fancy Newport wedding. You know, that's what they had their heart set on. So I'm sure there will be some people who will scale back. But anyway, not knowing whether we'll have weddings this year, we had to make some serious decisions about, you know, scaling back our expenses. We said, you know, we don't need to, we don't have a studio because we only shoot weddings. So, but we do have an office that's, you know, it's a
for
decent
meetings
size
and
space.
Consultations. Yeah.
We work there and then we meet with people there, and then we do have a camera room, but it was just kind of turned into a storage room, and, you know, for the occasional headshot. But we decided to give up our office space, and the first day it felt really sad, and then the next day we were really excited, and the relief of not having the rent is huge.
Imagine. Yeah.
And then we kind of started getting excited. We're both going to work from our homes, and we're going to just become a virtual business. You know, we're going to do all of our sales meetings virtually. We're going to do all of our meetings virtually, really, unless somebody really wants to meet with us. But I'm feeling like it's going to be a service to people, and I think people are going to really be excited. Like, oh, this is kind of our new thing. This is our new story brand. We are easy to work with.
I like that, and I like how you brought in story brand. That makes people like Greg and I really smile.
Yes, but it's true. We both felt like, oh my gosh, we're easy to work with. So now
you're solving a problem. You're solving a problem for
everything we're going to do is going to make it easy to work with. So I signed up with a new platform for an online gallery, and they have a store, and it's like really attractive, and it's really easy to use. And I loaded in all of our engagement sessions from last year, and I did a sale, a 20% off, you know, here's a new gallery if you guys want to buy something. And my next goal is to load in all of the past weddings where people maybe didn't get parent albums or framing. And
offer that. Somebody was just asking that question, and so you're doing that in an online fashion, going back and trying to sell, and also keeping in mind anniversaries, and that's something we've been doing too. And I just did finally finished the album, and they upgraded it because everybody's at home and they're feeling very disconnected. So it was really super easy for me to go online and end up selling a much bigger album or a double volume set that I probably wouldn't have sold if it was quote unquote normal times. And that'll move me over to George, because George is also, and Larry, I'm saving the best for last, dude. I promise. Best for last. But George also in the wedding arena. I know you do portraits as well and everything in Fayetteville, but you know, how are you guys working with it, you know, in North Carolina, and what did you do with your weddings? Did most of them reschedule and reposition with you, or?
In my last wedding, I had a wedding for, how you guys doing? And
George Joell.
Feel so honored to be on this panel right here with these amazing people that I've been with for a while. But my last wedding was supposed to be, or the wedding upcoming was supposed to be May 23rd. Just yesterday, she changed it. June. So we're going into phase 1 on May 8th, and phase 1 is still only 10 people stay at home.
Yeah.
Phase 2, at the best case scenario, is going to be on the 22nd. Her wedding was the 23rd, and we had no clue. So when she called in, she was like, I was like, well, are you still having your wedding? She says, absolutely. Debbie, her planner, was like, you know, hey, we're going to have this thing, and so upbeat. And I was like, I don't think we're going to have this thing. You know what I mean? Let's relook this, you know? And I said, well, go back. I said, go back to your venue, talk to them. They're not going to break the law. Okay. And her fiance is the sheriff. I said, he's not going to break the law. I said, you guys really need to rethink this, okay? The best case scenario is on the 23rd when your wedding is the first day of phase 2 at the best case scenario.
Yeah.
So she came back to me yesterday. She says, hey, we moved it to June 13th. They gave us a couple more days.
Yeah. So you got that rescheduled. That's good.
Yeah. So all our weddings have been rescheduled now. We do start our first wedding back up June 6th. We were full. I mean, between weddings and military balls, because we're in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is right outside of I'll say Fayetteville's outside of Fort Bragg.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, and close to Camp Lejeune, right?
Yeah, real Fort Bragg. So
Fort Bragg.
One of the biggest military communities, in the United States, and probably in the world. But so I mean, we do a lot of military balls. All of our military balls, all of our weddings were just canceled, and that was fine. I didn't realize how busy I was.
Yeah, until you weren't busy.
Until I was not busy anymore.
Yeah.
And because our season goes from, in this town, weddings are all year round, military balls are all year round, and you go from one season to the other season, don't even know that the season ended and the other season begins. And until we had no work, I was like, oh my God, I can get caught up. I've never been caught up before.
And did you? Are you caught up?
Yeah, I'm caught up. I don't even know what that is.
There you go. See, there's your silver lining. There is your silver lining.
Yeah.
And I understand. You're close. We're probably the closest. You in North Carolina, me here in Virginia. We're probably the closest statewide. Like states are going through similar things.
Right. And, being on the PPA board, being on the PP&C board, we've had a lot of meetings to try to help out our photographers and our associations. So, having that time, to really sit down, write things out, think about, how we can help other photographers, get ready for the reopening or for the opening has been, a real, joy in my life, to kind of help out, and balancing that with my family, my mother-in-law, she's 90 years old, and my wife, also has some underlying conditions. So we shut out everybody out of our family, even our family, our granddaughter can't even come over because we did not want to put her in that situation because they're in another circle. And we look at these circles, even though you have your family, you have these little circles and and you just, I'd say just keep your fists closed, keep those circles closed. But now it's time to open up the business. Time to go to work.
You just over volunteered yourself because you have declared you're not busy. So Greg and Audrey are creating some busy for you.
Well,
so don't worry about that.
We just opened up. We're going back to work. We're following all the CDC guidelines, all the local guidelines and state guidelines. Clients are calling. We're accepting clients. We have wedding clients coming in. So we're slowly going to get back to moving in the right direction. I just bought a thermometer.
Yeah.
So I can start taking temperatures.
Hopefully the thermal kind, not the
thermal kind. Yeah, the infrared. Yes. Contactless. So we're going to slowly but surely get moving and still keep, all the social distancing and all the sanitation stuff in place, because the bottom line is, like you guys said earlier, we have to be able to protect, our families. That's 100%. 100%, and the virus is still out there. Just because we're opening does not mean it's not out there. And
absolutely.
You have to make sure it's still out there. So, but the business, it's pushed forward. We only had one wedding that was canceled. All the rest of them were just, even though it's money lost, it's still, it's still something down the line.
I know.
So we'll be able to work.
All right. So I'm going to move over to Lair Bear, our friend Larry Lourcey in Dallas, Texas. Is it Dallas, Larry? Is it Dallas?
I'm actually in Plano, which is just north of Dallas. But
yeah, close enough.
It's where South Fork Ranch is, if you remember South Fork.
I do remember South Fork, Dallas. Yeah, the show Dallas. So Larry, besides baking bread and pizza,
yes,
and old fashions, what are you doing in Dallas? Texas sometimes can have its own, let's just say, its own agenda to the beat of its own drum. So what's going on in Texas? You guys are still staying in place, or are you guys opening back up? What's going on?
They've started opening things up, doing a lot of businesses are doing low capacity things. Like the big news last week was like on the 1st, restaurants opened up at 25% capacity. And so you can imagine, for one thing, people have been dying to go out to restaurants as it is, but the restaurants that you normally couldn't get into at night anyways, now they're at 25% capacity. But we were so desperate, so we have got to get some Mexican food and margaritas. And so we went and had like the old person's, 4 p.m. dinner just because we needed to. And it was like, there was a lot of people there. But yeah, it's slowly, but I don't know. I'm not necessarily trying to rush people back in, because I think people, even though that you can do it, there's a lot of people that are still really spooky about it. And I do a lot of children, and especially people with children aren't interested in that. So, but I think it's kind of a matter of for me, it's been nice to get a lot of things done that I've put off forever. Like, I've been doing digital since 2000. And so I've got both the boys are back now from college, and the one, he was like, well, I got all this stuff in my closet. And there was probably 25 hard drives just sitting up in the top of his closet. And, the back in the day, you'd buy like it's a 2 gig hard drive or a 50 gig. And so I went out and bought some like 3 terabyte external drives. And I've just been going through and I'm just going to condense them all down to just a couple of external drives. But it's funny, but as I've been doing it, kind of what Mark was saying earlier, I found like an old picture of an old client that I haven't seen in a long time. And I just kind of sent them a shot, one of the outtakes from the session, because you're kind of looking at them as you transfer them. And she's like, oh my gosh, you still have all that stuff? Could I come in and take a look at some of that? Is it too late to buy some of that stuff? And I'm like, that'd be funny as I'm going through all this stuff. Maybe I'm going to go through and
I think that's
start
a great
selling
idea.
a bunch of
I think that's
stuff.
a really good idea.
It's been nice. It's stuff that I would never get around to doing, is transferring that stuff over. And I did, I used to do a lot of YouTube. I had a YouTube channel for a while, and it kind of had tumbleweeds blowing across it and hadn't posted anything in forever. And I was like, well, that's something I can do now. And so I went back and I've slowly started posting stuff on there. And I've got about a month out now of scheduled things, but it's kind of hard to get back in the swing of that. Because it's just, oh my gosh, you're trying to get everything right and you're editing it to pieces. And so I got to do that again, which was kind of nice, which I enjoy doing it. And it's kind of a little way that you can kind of give back little bits and just help out with basic Photoshop questions and things like that. So I've been kind of keeping busy with things that I've wanted to do that have just been on the back burner, in addition to all the baking, of course.
I was going to say, was it a baking YouTube channel? But it's not. It's a Photoshop.
No, it is photography. Yeah, we should have some sort of a baking channel.
You should have a baking channel for sure. I don't know.
Because it's the whole, you start with all the ingredients to throw it all, just get this big gooey mess. And then from that you produce,
brilliant is what it is.
It's the same concept. And it is interesting. I did have the thought that it is interesting that baking and photography have this in common, that they're both in that category of it's science and art at the same time. If you're too far off on the science, the art part is going to fail. And if you don't have any art to it, you're just going to do it by the book, and it's not going to be a very interesting thing. And they are kind of which I would never have normally put that together. And somebody pointed that out to me a while back, and I was like, they are kind of similar in that regard. So
I can see that, because a lot of my photography friends love to cook. Like, it's actually, I find not necessarily all of us on this panel right now, but some of my, Kira and I are like, nope. Interesting story. Jeff hosted a cooking thing one night and Kira ran out of pans. And we only had used 1 pan. So I was highly skeptical of her cooking abilities. Guys, I know we're right at the hour, but before we wrap up, I'd love to just kind of roll through, and PPA as a board and as amazing staff in Atlanta that has been working from home early on and really adjusted to this so quickly. And it's okay, we may repeat or have some things, but what is your favorite thing right now that PPA is doing for the members and for professional photographers as a whole across the country and world even? You know what, and I'll start with you, Greg, and move through.
So I really, I certainly love the $3 million package that we put out for everybody. What an incredible thing that was, right? I mean, that was a phenomenal thing. And I love all of you people that are on here that came together and we did something really great and historic. That was fantastic. But one of the things that sticks out to me that I think I'll always remember is that we opened up all the education to everyone, to all creatives, and that In It Together page, all the webinars that we did on it, all that stuff that was for everyone. I had so much feedback from other business owners other than photography. A lot of other creatives going, thank you for doing this. I just think that resonated so well because it was outside the scope and bigger, and it was not just about us, it was about everyone in the business, right?
I love that. Yeah, Greg, I couldn't agree more. Audrey, what about you?
You know, I really have been very proud to be watching and sharing all the things that we are helping our wedding photographers, our portrait photographers with the contracts and with applying for the loans.
Right.
The things that, you know, some of the businesses that are very small that don't have an in-house, you know, attorney and all the things that they to maneuver these. And I just think helping everybody make the best of the situation is just such a great thing to be part of.
Really proud. Yeah. Jeffy?
Yeah, there's two quick things. I love that PPA took all that effort and made the PPP and the EIDL understandable, and from a perspective of the lone wolf studio, the solopreneur. Like, I love that they took that perspective. And I love that Kira can now tuck her bangs into her belt.
Yeah.
So I love two major things about
Oh no.
Wow. Okay, Kira, but like, hey, bangs, what's up? Yeah. And, you know, it's an ongoing saga with Kira and her bangs, and that's fantastic because she refused to cut them herself or let Kevin cut them, which I don't understand. So what's your favorite thing?
I'm holding out. Oh man.
You're killing it.
Man, well, in addition to everything that you guys have already said, I mean, there's been that In It Together page, my goodness, it's just been the chat on that as well, being able to like write in and chat and ask questions.
Yeah,
the live chat, that's been good. But one of the things that is just a long-term thing that I love that PPA has afforded me personally is the community. It's been hard to be alone, and it's been hard and it's been scary from the business standpoint. It has been so comforting to have all those people that I've met from all over the country just through that are only made possible my friendships with them because of PPA. So it's just been so nice to be able to connect with those people, and I have PPA to thank for that.
I love that. And I agree with you. Allison, what about you?
You know, when PPA rolled out their $3 million aid, and I'll even get emotional about this, sorry.
Don't cry. Yeah, you know what you have to do.
Is that it made me feel seen in a world where I felt non-essential.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate PPA making me and the community reminding me that I'm not disposable, that I matter.
And you do matter, and you made it, and thank you because you were a big part of that. All of us on the screen, everybody was a big part of that. So thank you for being a part of that. Don't count yourself short on that, Allison, because you definitely matter to me anyway. I can't speak for the rest of these clowns, but speaking of which, let me move to Mike. Just kidding.
Well,
I love you, Mike.
Mary.
You know that. I love you.
Is my nose red? What's going on here? So,
I adore you. I'm trying to just bring some. If I'm going to joke with somebody, it's going to be you. What do you love?
I can't really point out anything in particular like the education and all these other fabulous things they did. But I think the thing that I want to point out is that PPA is such a strong organization that they have the power to do this for their membership, their foresight to do this for their membership, quite frankly, without blinking an eye.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to take a hit.
Yep.
You know, membership rolls, everything else. Who knows where the convention's going this year? But they've been so well fortified with success over the years that making the $3 million decision and being part of that process, it felt so good that we were in a position to do that.
Yeah.
Period.
That did.
I mean,
feel good.
it was there, it was available, and who knows, it may happen again sometime. I don't know. But from an overall perspective, I think that PPA just being there in the financial state they're in.
Something to be proud of, for sure. I'm going to call Michaela because she's in a good spot to chat right this second. Michaela, do you want to share with us your...
Yeah, I mean, I would just echo what everyone else is saying. Like, it has been so amazing to have such a great community to fall back on and feel connected in a time where we're otherwise isolated. And also, like, you know, having Scott Kirkian and David Truss and all of staff that is able to put together these webinars to provide some clarity and direction in a time where you literally have no idea, because things are changing every single day with regulations of what needs to be done for small businesses. So that was just super helpful to have those webinars and that education for sure.
Awesome. I agree with you, Michaela. Thank you. And thank you and your family for being so good in the car and tuning into this. Pete, what do you think?
Well, I'm just so proud of, you know, this group, at the staff of PPA, everything, you know, they haven't missed a beat. They've all been working remotely, you know, being able to keep everything, you know, as it's been said about what was going on with the loans and just breaking things down and how it was changing, you know, every single day, and they were just on top of it, you know, and that, you know, PPA truly cares for all of its members, all of them. And even those that aren't members, hoping, you know, with opening up, you know, we care about the photographic industry, and I'm really proud to be a part of all of that, and each and every one that's been a part of all of it. So, you know, thank you guys.
Awesome. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Just two things.
Not your thoughts, let's just focus on
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me think. Let me go back to the beginning here. Just to kind of build on a couple of things that have already been said, you know, throughout this whole process, you know, the board and staff at PPA is always in contact for one reason or another. There's been so much more of that during all of this, and the underlying theme behind all of it and underneath all of it is, what can we do for our members? What else can we do to help our membership? And I love that has been the driving force for the past couple of months. And for those that don't know, because we have a lot of members that haven't been around as long, 25 years ago, we were on the verge of collapse. We were to the point where we could not afford to put on a convention. So to be able to turn around today and invest $3 million back into the membership to do in some small part to help them weather this crisis. And I'll point to the two guys at the top who had a bigger part to play than any, and that's David Truss, our CEO, and Scott Kirkian, the CFO. Those guys, as well as senior staff, and working with all the boards in that time since that happened, just an incredible job. Incredible. Just that's something we should all aspire to be able to do.
You know, and I love that you said that, Mark, and just, you said it, but, you know, we sit here today because of the amazing leaders that have come before us and made it viable and sustainable so we can be here. And we are the faces right now, but we'll be, before we know it, there'll be new great, you know, other great people here in this position.
Oh, I'm not leaving.
Oh, you're
ever.
Staying? Okay, cool. All right. Term limits, Mark, term limits. What do you think, Trish? Let's go over to you. I know that you're kind of new to this. You get to come right into a pandemic, you, George, and Larry. Yay, y'all.
Just when I thought it was going to be like just boring meetings, it's been
it's so easy. I didn't say that.
I have to say, I agree with everybody has said, especially the community. I hope PPA members know how much thought and sort of, you know, anguish we had over what can we do for the members. I wish we could do so much more. You know, we wish we could do something huge for every single person, but obviously financially there are limits. So hopefully, you know, people can benefit from what we have decided to do. But I think having the community and not feeling alone, and, you know, none of us have ever done any of this before. This is new for all of us. And there's that certain, you know, when you go through a battle with people, you know, they become sort of lifelong friends. And I hope that, I hope PPA members feel the support and the love from all of us, because I know that was definitely our intention. So
absolutely.
I'm appreciative to be with all you guys for sure.
Thank you. We're glad you're here. George, you look just like Trish. I got confused.
It's true. We get mistaken for each other a lot.
Practically the same person.
Practically, yes.
George.
I'll be honest, I could not even imagine going through this without being affiliated with groups like the PPA, you know, and for us to open it up to all photographers all around the world and give them the same opportunities to go to in it together to our website and get the resources, it's just amazing. You know what I mean? And if I had to navigate this myself as a sole photographer, not affiliated with the PPA, I would be lost.
Oh,
totally lost. you know, so just being a part. And I had 2 words down here. I had David and Scott, and then some of you just chimed in. The staff of the PPA working behind the scenes has just been doing an amazing job. And I'm just so proud to be a part of this organization. You know, and I'll just tell you one quick thing that happened, and it happened to me, but it happened because Scott was trying to help out another member in North Carolina. So he sent me a message and said, hey, George, there's a member that had a question in North Carolina about unemployment. And I said, well, Scott, I never applied for unemployment. I don't know how to answer that question. I said, let me check it out. So I went in there and I applied for unemployment, you know, just to see the process. And then 2 days later, I was approved, you know, through the pandemic unemployment assistance program. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I never even thought to even go through something like that, because I had positioned myself where, you know, I was okay, you know what I mean? I wasn't doing too bad. And I was able to do that because of the staff helping other members out. So I'm just very appreciative. I feel very proud being a member of the PPA and being a part of this board.
Thanks, George. All right, Larry, you're going to bring it home again. Let's bring it on home. Bring on some really good, no pressure, Larry.
Well, I'll start with this. Yeah, being new to the board, I really had very little idea how much went on behind the scenes. And I think that's been the biggest eye-opening thing for me, was that when all this stuff happened, that PPA did not kind of, you know, board up the windows for the storm and let's try and weather this thing and get by. It's like, they were like on the offensive right off the bat with, we're going to do this, with sharing stuff, making it available, and, you know, coming up with stuff that, you know, we as a board, you know, I don't know, you like to take credit for a lot of this stuff. And, you know, a lot of it's like them doing all this work behind the scenes and, hey, what do you think about, yeah, sounds good to us. And, you know, and it's like, you know, they're doing a lot. And just that it's been so, not only all the stuff they're providing, but I think they've been such a good job of communication, which is always something that I think is difficult. And, you know, setting up a separate site where everything is there, so you don't have to go to 50 different places. Hey, it's all going to be right here and we'll have a link to this for you. And there'll be a video and tell you how to do it. And I think it's just, it's been amazing how things have taken off like that. And I think it's been great. And the only other thing I would add is the camaraderie that was mentioned earlier that I think is great, that you're still, you know, we were talking the other day, I was on one of these, you know, happy hours at night, everybody getting together, and
thanks for the invite.
And you're like, we're like, why aren't we doing this all the time? You know, we could have been doing this before.
Right.
And so, you know, that's one of those things you talk about all the time, like when you go back to normal, whatever normal is, that hopefully that type stuff will stick together, that whether it's your photography community or your outside photography community or whatever, that it's just, you're still kind of keeping together as a group. And I think PPA is a great anchor for that and gives you kind of that great base to work off of. So that's been for me the biggest points. And so I'll leave it with that.
Thanks, Larry. That was awesome. Well, guys, yeah, you brought it on home. I love it. And I think that you guys are right that I couldn't say anything differently. Like it's an incredible group. And I know that my friends and so many great people, you guys, every single one of you guys, well, almost every one of you guys, just kidding, on the screen, I'm so grateful for. And you know, we are senior staff, David and Scott, everything, Angela Kirkian, you know, being just the forefront of the education, and not just for photography, like the health and wellness checks and those type of things. I mean, that's really important right now. And they embrace that as much as they did the photography part. So I'm really grateful. And I'm also super grateful for Ronan Ryle, who I met through PPA. If it weren't for PPA, I would not have been able to meet Ronan and fall in love with my Irish family, I will call them all, and my 3XM family, who I can tell you adore. I am so sad I will not be seeing you next week as originally planned, but I'm glad that you've given us this platform, and I'm grateful that you're a part of this PPA family with us all the way across the pond.
Well, all I can say is I'm just so grateful to you guys, because I introduced you guys as lighthouses of inspiration, hope, and wisdom for our industry. But you've got outside the industry, as the panel talked tonight, about other businesses joining the education program. For me, that was the big thing, because education's at the center of my core beliefs. And I'm an economics nerd, and they talk about this argument in economics about the trickle-down effect of money. But what I can tell you guys is the leadership you've done has trickled down, because I'm seeing photographers throughout the world who've connected with what you've done, taken inspiration from that, and have used that to reach out to their communities, to help their communities. And as a result of that, they're positioning the photography industry and their businesses as being leaders in their community. And the other thing we do as a business is we do a lot of social listening. So just to back up what Kira has said, the social listening we're hearing right now on social media is that people are respecting their relationships with family and friends and pets so much more as a result of this. And where our frontline workers have done amazing work they put their lives on the line, and many have died, you know, to keep us safe, to feed us, to keep those supply chains open, to keep the pharmaceuticals being made. But we as an industry have a really important job to help people bounce back from this and to capture those special memories that they can enjoy forever. So Michael, I would say is keep that production gearing up, because if what I'm seeing on the social listening on social media and what Kira and others are seeing from opening up their businesses, this is going to explode. It won't happen very, very quickly, but the desire will be there. And once we start working through this economic depression and bounce back out of it, we're going to be a very, very busy industry. But more importantly, we have such a role to play to capture those special moments of family, friends, and pets. So I thank you so much. We really appreciate the leadership you've shown us all. And I'm so proud to be a member of this industry. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone. Everybody be well and be healthy. And I'll see all of you guys, I'm sure, next week.
Thanks, Mary.
Ronan. Bye, y'all.
Thank you, Ronan.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mary.